Hey, everybody. It is Brian Nemhauser,
And Rachel Nemhauser.
and we're here for episode 5 of the Nemhouse podcast. Hopefully, a podcast that more and more people are finding as just a companion to life of being a parent with a child with a disability or being a family member of a child with a disability. We're just trying to go through our 20 plus years of raising a disabled child and the impact it's had on us, people around us, and things we've learned. Really just trying to make sure that other people don't feel alone in their journey. And we have some ideas about how we'll continue to do that along the way. So far, episodes 1 through 4 have been kind of a chronological walk through our lives with Nate, our son, who is autistic. We're going to do something a little different with episode 5. We're going to continue our chronological walk because it takes us through a bunch of issues. And so we'll get there. Don't you worry about that. But today, Rach, I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the things that are kind of unexpected or maybe not as easy to guess from the outside looking in or before you've gone through them that makes it maybe easier, uh, happier, nicer to have a disabled child than you might have expected, and some things that are hard and maybe differently hard about having a disabled child than maybe people might know. How does that sound?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Cool. Well, I first want to know, like, when I kind of say those two things, what's the first thing? Does your mind immediately go to the good place or does it go to the challenging place?
I think my mind more focuses on the unexpected, pleasant surprises. I mean, we talked about earlier on in one of our earlier episodes about what we thought having a child with a disability would be like. The really dark thoughts and unpleasant thoughts we had about what that would be like, and really didn't spend any time thinking about like the beauty in our situation in those early years. And now looking back, there really have been some incredibly beautiful moments and days and times and experiences.
Okay, with that, why don't you kick us off? What is the first thing that you think of that's kind of unexpectedly good or pleasant about having a disabled child?
The first thing that comes to my mind is all the amazing people we've met because of Nate. So there's a few different categories. There's like other parents and families and their kids that I just wouldn't have known if we hadn't had the shared experience. So it's also the people themselves with disabilities that I never would have met, the like amazing friends and colleagues and acquaintances and people that I just really admire with disabilities that I never would have known. And then the third are like the people who have been so helpful over the years, the people who have come in and offered support and love and expertise and intervention and therapy to help Nate and to help our family. And just when you think about those groups, those three groups of people, like our lives are so infinitely better because of them.
I love that. Yeah, that makes sense and definitely agree with that. And I think we'll get to you specifically in some of this in a bit, but I think that relates. I the first thing that comes to mind for me, and something that I honestly kind of enjoy almost every day with Nate, is that he, like, by his nature, is developmentally delayed. And there is this innocence that you get with younger children that you lose at some point. Teenagers are kind of a pain in the butt. And Nate has some of the teenager stuff going too. So I'm not saying he's like all innocent.
Right.
But he will sit with me on the couch, not all the time, but he wants me to sit next to him. He wants to still snuggle. He wants to see he doesn't think he gets angry if he thinks something's a baby movie, but he wants to see, Inside Out or some of these Godzilla movies or some of these things that maybe aren't what all the teenagers would
Yeah, I mean,
see.
I think what you're saying is like in usually kids grow up really fast
Yes.
and there's pluses and minuses to that, but like the beauty of having Nate, and I can't say this about all people with disabilities,
Sure.
but the beauty with Nate is that some parts of him just haven't grown up as fast, and we do get those cuddles, and we do get some of that like childlike wonder. And I want to be clear, like Nate is not a child in a grown-up's body. Nate is
Yeah.
not childlike in any way, but there is like some of this like childlike wonder and intimacy that a lot of kids grow out of quicker.
I know you well enough now to know that was a soft correction or a caution about how I was talking about Nate.
I
What's
really like the phrase soft correction.
yeah, so what's the sensitivity about childlike? What's that?
I'm so glad you asked. There's a misnomer or a major misunderstanding about people with disabilities, especially
Mm,
adults with disabilities, that they're children or babies in adult bodies. Um, and that is just such an insult. Like Nate is 20 years old. He's had 20 years of life experiences. He is an adult. He views his brain as an adult brain. Like he views the world like a person who's lived in it for 20 years. Some of his hobbies and some of his interests are definitely veered younger, but I would never want to imply that he is childish or that he's really just a child in a grown-up body, because that just diminishes his experience and his voice, I think.
that's interesting. I can see some of the bigger implications of disenfranchising adult with disabilities by basically saying, oh, they shouldn't be able to vote. They shouldn't have the same rights if they're really
Mhm.
just children in adults' bodies. So I'm assuming there's even more than that. So I appreciate that. I don't consider it an insult because I think it's pretty ugly how we lose our innocence generally growing up. I think that there's something to be cherished in that is lost so fast, and increasingly like the time to loss of innocence feels like it's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, that it's like I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of, or I'm certainly not seeing it as a, this person is less than. I just think about it as this wonderful way that he still sees the world
Mhm.
in a way that he appreciates things that other people don't. And I mean, if we give him chocolate, like his eyes, like his enthusiasm is, I think, the way a lot of us feel when we get chocolate. But there's no ego to it. He is just unaware of like how he could be perceived. He's not thinking about all those things. He's just himself. And like I find it so endearing and like kind of a constant reminder of, yeah, it's like being cool or like your outward appearance and being in your own head is kind of not the best way to live. And so
Right. Yeah, I think you said that beautifully. And I agree with you. Like we're talking about one person and we're talking about what we love about this one person. And he does have this like uninhibited sense of joy and wonder sometimes that is something we associate with the younger people. I only get sensitive when, well, first of all, I want to say if anyone wants to read more about this, you could look up mental age theory. But when it starts to be used to like deny rights and to
mhm,
deny, like for example, if we were to say, Nate, you're not ready to date. You still love cartoons, right? Like we're saying you're so childlike, you can't do the things that other adults do.
mhm.
That's when I start to get sensitive about it. Just like and adoring what makes him him is beautiful. And I agree with you. And I do love that and value that in him.
Well, good. I do too. Uh, um, what else? I mean, I have a lot of things, so I could just ramble them off. What's the next thing for you? Could be a good thing, could be a more challenging thing.
Another really good thing has been seeing our family embrace and love Nate. It hasn't always been easy. And, like our family is as complicated as anybody else's. I always say kids with disabilities aren't born into blank slate families. Like we have all our complexities and politics and whatever. But there does seem to be like Nate seems in a way to be like a unifying force. Like everybody rallies around this kid and everybody like thinks he's great. And everybody is willing to stop a conversation when he walks into a room wearing a funny hat to make a point to celebrate his funny hat. Like there's just this, I'm only saying that because he literally did that yesterday with a sombrero for some reason. So it's on my mind. Yeah. But like, there's just the beauty of like this Nate seems to have been like a bond for our families.
One that I like that I definitely would not have thought of beforehand is, I mean, Nate happens to be in his disability that he is not going to be a driver. Like he's not going to get a driver's license. He's not going to be driving a car.
Right. You're welcome, everybody, for us recognizing that.
But didn't have to teach him to drive, which is, you did that with Isaac. It's not fun.
No.
Didn't have to get him a car. Didn't have to worry about where he was at night or where he's going to be out driving or if he's driving drunk, which is another thing. Nate doesn't drink. Like he's not likely to ever be a drinker. I don't know unless we put it in front of him. And I hadn't realized how much stress in the later years of childhood, with our older kid, with Isaac, there's a lot of like complications and things you have to go through that it's just been simpler in that way with Nate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I thought the same, that we never had to help him prepare for the SATs.
Yeah, right.
Which is lovely.
Worry about like, is he going to get into the college that he wants to go to? And this isn't the case with all disabled people. So I want to be really clear. This is not like
no, we're talking about
our specific experience. And I think there's other people that would have other unique things about their experience with a disability in their family that was better than people might know. And also would encourage you in the comments section on patreon.com/nemhouse on this episode, add a comment, share any cool experiences that you've had that other people may not think about.
Okay, wait, I have another one.
Okay, go.
When you have a person whose development is not typical and is really slow, has slowed down dramatically, or is just slow by nature. The wins, the accomplishments, the acquisition of a new skill is like, there is nothing like the ecstasy of seeing a kid do something they've tried to do for so long and that they've been working on for so long, that the moment of celebration for a hard-won accomplishment is, I would have thought if a kid starts walking at 2, that's late. And when they finally start walking, you're just going to be sad that they were so late or relieved that they finally did it. I didn't know that it would be like, I'm ready to take a week off work and like celebrate this accomplishment. It's just so special.
Yeah, that's a great one. I have a twosome that is one about me, one about you, and the one about you is probably worth its whole episode in and of itself. But for me, I talked about it a little bit in previous episodes, but I honestly didn't know I was capable of like genuinely loving and enjoying and having a very fulfilling life with a disabled child. Like, didn't know that about myself. and wouldn't have expected that I would have that about
Mm-hmm.
myself. So like, I kind of feel, I feel like I'm a better person than I would have expected. And maybe that's a weird way to put it, but like it was pleasantly surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
For you, you've done something that I think is so noble, and noble's the wrong word actually. I want to strike that because it's just inspiring, I think is the better way to say it. That you found something that was very traumatizing initially and turned it into your purpose and have made an entire career out of it and become an expert in the field and become someone who's well respected and that creates webinars and creates all sorts of content and speaks at conferences, and you're a director now at your nonprofit, and could do more than that in time. So I mean, when I first met you, you were gonna, you were into video editing, weren't quite sure where you were gonna go, and we're kind of trying to find your place, and you have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, right. Like, if it weren't for Nate, I wouldn't be where I am professionally, and I wouldn't have that passion and have that body of knowledge and expertise. And so, right, I'm like tremendously grateful for that. But I also think of it like, in addition to this career journey or path that I've been on, I think about like the personal growth that I've had because of being Nate's mom, like the having to learn to I feel like I found my voice because of him. I found what matters to me, and I found a comfort level with speaking that. And like, I'm not Nate's voice, he's his own voice, but I do advocate for him, and I do take pleasure in making the world a better place for him. And that has been a definite unexpected perk of being Nate's mom.
Well, and one of the other cool things about that is it's created like a nice dynamic in our relationship where there's always been like mutual respect. That's never been an issue. We haven't had like a power dynamic situation where I was in charge or you were in charge. Like, we've been pretty equal throughout at least I think so.
I think so.
Okay, good.
That's another episode. I'm just kidding.
But what it's done is, like, I have no question that you're the expert. You spend all day doing this. I hear you on the phone talking to parents of children with disabilities, people coming from different countries, different states, trying to figure out our system. You have employees who have disabilities who are brilliant people. There's all sorts of disabilities, and some of these people are doing amazing work. I mean, they're all doing amazing work, but you just are really well connected and well read on this. So it's been nice for me to not feel like I've got to have all the answers on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that like, that's your area. And it doesn't mean I do everything you say. We have conversations.
He doesn't.
But it's been really cool. Like, it's been cool to be able to just take a back seat in a really important part of our lives.
And I've really enjoyed like developing that level of expertise because, well, I mean, it helps Nate and it helps others. And I also, like, as an aside, we've had to navigate all these really complex systems as Nate's mom, like Social Security, developmental disabilities, guardianship, special education. And I am like super proud for that we've been able to do that. It's a secret little pride I carry around that these systems are so hard that every time like I get anywhere, I just am like, yeah, look at us. Here we go. Like there's little wins there.
Yeah. Yeah, there absolutely are. There was something else that was coming in my head, and I've kind of spaced on it. So we'll see if it comes back to me.
I know, we're getting old. Those things happen.
Oh my God. Like, I don't want to spend time on that because it's too depressing. Let's talk about some challenges, because we'll come back to some good stuff, because that's just, I think, where we're feeling energy anyway. We've talked about a number of challenges already. I'll
Mhm.
bring some of them back to memory. Like, I think isolation probably top most of, family members, friends tend to kind of step back. People don't feel comfortable or confident taking care of your kids. So childcare is pretty hard. But let's maybe step beyond that.
Mhm.
So what does that then do to a relationship? What are the things that maybe you aren't able to do or we're not able to do that would be different potentially if that wasn't the case?
Okay. But I want to be like, this toes a line for me because
Ooh.
it's really important. I don't ever want to imply that Nate is any sort of burden to us, or that like his existence, his care needs is something I regret. So I just want to say that at the
Can I pause on that? So the regret I get, every freaking kid's a burden. What are you talking about? Like, why would a disabled kid not be a burden?
Well, okay. No, I mean, I get that. Like taking care of children, any type of children is really difficult, but that's not what we're talking about. We're saying, why is being the parent of a disabled child difficult? And
Different. Yeah.
I just feel like it's important to say that like I don't want to ignore the difficulties and I don't want to minimize them. If our stated goal is to help families feel less alone, then I think we're doing a disservice by ignoring the hard part.
Right.
But I just want to say that at the
Okay.
forefront.
You've said it. I get it.
Okay.
I
Thank
get
you.
it. All right. So
Um I mean, one of the things you said, like, let's move past isolation, but the fact is that is the big one for me. Like, yeah, the early years where people were withdrawing or we weren't getting the help we needed, but it's more than that because it's like you are all, we said Nate is developing and has developed slower than everyone else. We are separate from the majority of what other people are doing and experiencing at any given moment. When he was in his senior year of high school and all his peers' parents were announcing where they're going to college, for example, or even showing high school graduation pictures when he didn't attend his graduation. Like there's isolation in that sort of comes up at various points. And that's hard. That like you could fully embrace and love where you're at and still look around and feel sad for those times.
yeah, 100%. For me, what kind of comes up is, I, I think you and I would have very likely gone on more trips, just the two of us.
Mm,
And that's a way to refresh and rejuvenate a relationship. Not that we're like in any troublesome situation, but like that's a difference. And it's something that thankfully we like really get along well, and are through COVID we spend so much time together. My
that's
God.
true.
And I'm not sick of you. I hopefully
Oh,
you're not
that's
sick of me.
nice.
No, I mean, like, that's good, but I don't want to over look or diminish the notion that it's hard for like us to go out even on a Friday night.
Hmm.
And
No, I
just
mean, I think this evening is a perfect example. We both want to go for a walk. It would make sense for us to go for a walk together,
together.
but we can't go for a walk together. One of us has to go for a walk, and then the other one has to go for a walk so that Nate has supervision.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, yeah, like there is a challenge that puts on a relationship when we don't get to easily spend time together. That's something you would expect when you have small children. Like a lot of parents
Mhm.
of small children would say it's hard to get time together. But no, Nate's 20 and it's still a challenge that is going to be a variable in our lives, of course.
And the fact that Nate is someone who generally requires one-to-one supervision, like one-to-one care,
Mm-hmm.
also means that there's like summer camps and other activities that, unless they have specific staffing, he can't attend.
Right.
And so that varies based off the child's disability, but it's another, like, people think, oh, there's an Easter Seals camp. I'm sure that's great for Nate. Well, he can't go because they don't have the staffing that they need.
And I think that leads into something that's a specific difficulty for that I've found is like seeing Nate or seeing your child be rejected is like so painful. And I didn't anticipate that. He's a lot of, and this isn't unique to him, a lot of camps and recreational activities, school programs, he hasn't been able to be successful. And I don't blame him for that. I generally think it's that the program isn't prepared to support him. It's not a him issue. But regardless, the end result is he can't come here. He can't be here. He's not a good fit for here. And how painful that is. Like, when I know that this kid is everything and brings all the joy in the world, yeah, he takes extra support, but as long as you provide it, he can do great. It's, besides that, it's like maddening and frustrating. It's just really, at the end of the day, it's very hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen how that's been hard, especially for you. And another one that comes up for me, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but financially, I've talked about that with, Isaac, I was always in our minds, we were going to like help him through college, get him settled and get him off. And maybe hopefully eventually we'll help with a wedding or something like that. But essentially he was going to be independent, live independently financially, all that different stuff. With Nate, we're still in the middle of this one. We don't even know exactly what it's like. But for me, my expectation is we have to support him, create a way to support him, even when we're not here eventually for his whole life. And so that's something I think of pretty much every day.
Do you really?
I do.
I didn't know that.
I think about our finances pretty much every day.
Well, that I know.
And that's a huge part of it. I mean, it's a huge, like, you sit there, and if you sit with a retirement, like a financial advisor, and they do retirement planning for you, they are like, okay, how many years do you think you're going to live? And how much money a year do you think you want to have during retirement? And like, these are the things they need to know. Well, when you're talking about a 20-year-old that you need to potentially, support for the rest of his life, that's a big number. And even if you do things like a special needs trust, and we'll talk about that another time and all those things, and you have Social Security and have these things that are helpful, you can just say, okay, it's their problem now, but that's just not the way I'm wired. And I don't think it's the way you're wired. And we don't want Isaac to ever be responsible. So that's probably the biggest one in my head. This, or maybe the kind of isolation, lack of care thing. Those two things are like neck and neck for me about like most challenging.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. This is the second time you've brought up what a big deal the finances are to you. And it's just not where my head is usually.
You know what's equivalent to, Rach? I'd guess for you is like housing for him, and like the triumphs that you've had and the amount of work you've had in terms of researching and understanding what independent living or life outside supported living would look like outside. Social Security, all those programs you just mentioned before that you put all this time and effort into figuring out. Like, that's your version of making sure he is in a good situation independent of us.
That's true. And I wonder if I ruminate about it a little less than you, because I'm actually like taking these active steps, which can make you feel a little more like you're in control, which is probably false. But
no, I think it's great. And all those things have been really good.
And by the way, we should definitely talk about housing in another episode.
We absolutely will. Well, let's go back to some, unless is there another challenge that you wanted to bring up before I switch us back?
I'm going to share one more.
Okay.
And this is another whole episode. I really want to dive more into sibling relationship and Isaac and Nate and one of the hard parts for me has been having my kids not have the relationship that I have with my siblings, and like the loss of that, or like and that's something that doesn't go away. It's like a long-term thing when I think about like what Isaac would be doing with a younger sibling right now if things were different.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's always been like, that's part of like your pre perception or imagination dream of what, the family would be like, to, a continuing kind of journey that you're on there. And I would kind of add a little bit to that, a little different, but similar, is that Nate's a really social kid, but his ability to like have friends over or go to a friend's house and actually do that is pretty non-existent without support.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is tough. Like I think he loves his friends at school. He loves going to school. I think a primary part is not just the teachers, but that he gets to be with peers
Yeah.
and social
Yeah, for
interaction.
sure.
And so the fact that he doesn't get to have a friend that he can call or text with that he would love, that's hard. And that's something that like we're hoping, whether it's through housing or other things we can address in future years. But
Yeah.
that's a whole part of a kid's development that he doesn't really have as much in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We've talked about the isolation we've experienced, but haven't really, but I think what you're talking about is like isolation that Nate experiences. And that's, I mean, seeing your kid struggle or be isolated or be lonely is never good.
I think that for him, thankfully, I don't see it showing up for him as loneliness. I see it showing up as boredom.
Yeah, that's a good distinction.
And I'm really thankful about that, because it would be, I think we would be working overtime to figure something out. If he was like sitting around sad and depressed, we would be working differently on that, but he's not. He's just, sometimes he gets bored.
Yeah, he does. And that's when the real trouble starts.
All right. So we should start wrapping up to keep these things nice and short, but like, let's think back to some of the things that are
yeah,
positive.
let's end on a positive note.
We might have a few. Anything that come to mind for you?
I have just been immersed in the world of what Nate loves and cares about. Like, I can't say that having to watch gory horror movies is a perk per se, but like, I don't know, learning the brain, learning the way this unique person works and the things he loves and cares about, and having like a front row seat to that has just been really fun to just watch him be him.
For me, we're kind of related to that. There are people out there that are impossible to buy presents for. Like you try, you think, and you give it. I'm probably one of them, honestly. Like,
that's exactly what I was thinking when you said that.
I'm hard to buy.
Glad you said that.
Nate is such a pleasure to buy presents for, because you just know what is going to make him light up. And when you give him a present that's like what he wants, he shrieks. He is, again, back to this total lack of ego, like just unadulterated joy and just pure him. And it's so fun. I mean, I have to control myself. Like, I'm sitting here, his birthday's coming up, and like I'm scrolling around and I see a what's it called? A resin print, like 3D printed Godzilla scene that he would friggin' love. It's like $70 for like a 7-inch figure. And I'm like, this is stupid. And I'm like, I haven't bought it, but it's inevitable that I will end up buying this for him, either for, for his birthday or Hanukkah or whatever it is. And I just know when I give him that, he is going to freak out. And that's just like, it's so fun to have people in your life like that.
Yeah, that's true. I love that.
Yeah.
He is a really fun kid to give presents for and to buy presents for and to tell other relatives what he'll like because he just has his things he's so passionate about.
Yeah. Anything else? I'll give you final options if there's anything else that you want to throw out. Because, but for what it's worth, I almost can guarantee you we're going to think of other things after we finish, and we'll do another episode like this. And we're going to also go through the rest of our time parenting him, which will also jog some memories as well. So it's not the end, but if you have anything else for today, feel free.
I mean, I just want to say, like, being physically close to him, hugging him, snuggling with him, like he is my person in that way. Like I love him so much, and he's
I've got one for you.
okay.
Road trips.
Yeah, he's my travel companion. He and I have logged thousands of miles in the car together. He's an unbelievably wonderful travel companion. I could go on. I mean, I could do a whole episode on why road tripping with Nate is the bee's knees. But I'll just say, but you're right. That is a good point. He is incredible to travel with.
Yes, he is. Which is ironic because he came into the world screaming anytime he was in a car.
That's true.
But now he gets into the recline and he has like a vibe. My like similar one that I'll just share. I said I was going to let you close, but it's too similar to not share. Is golfing with him. Like Nate in a golf cart with sunglasses and an iPad, like vibing. He is just a sight. He really kind of creates a vibe wherever he goes in those kind of moments. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Are we able to post pictures on the Patreon?
I'm sure. Yeah.
If not, like we've been talking about starting an Instagram.
Yeah.
And maybe we can show some pictures of him in those scenarios because
like
it is
that.
really fun.
Yeah. That's all you. I'm like an Instagram Luddite. So we'll wait for you to handle that part. All right, my dear. Are we good to wrap there?
I think that's a great place to stop.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in for episode 5. If you haven't already gone to patreon.com/nemhouse, please do. It's a great place to sign up for free. There's free and there's paid memberships. The paid stuff is just for charity. We are doing something where we're playing around with that people that are paid members. Maybe it's paid. I can't remember if it's paid or free, whatever it is. But I think members of some sort get immediate access to the pod when it's posted. Otherwise, we're trying to post every Monday a new episode.
If you are a member, even if for free, do you get alerted when a new one is posted?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So patreon.com/nemhouse. You can also find the podcast on like every podcast platform other than I think Google Podcast. For whatever reason, it doesn't work there, but Amazon Music and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it's all up on all those places. So please feel free to keep giving feedback. We've got a bunch of great feedback. We're starting to build a community and hopefully we'll be able to connect people together through that. Otherwise, we'll be back for another episode really soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.